closure due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The meeting is being held electronically by an authorized communication device, is open to public attendees, and open for public comment. The board meeting is being recorded, and questions and comments can be entered using the question and answer box or by raising your hand on the screen. Questions and/or comments will be read out loud and answered if needed. I provided my email address and contact information to the public last week through the memorandum that was published in order to submit questions and/or comments prior to the meeting. I did not receive any questions or comments. The public attendance list for the meeting, any questions that are received today and answers, if any, will be attached to the minutes that will be posted for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Yep. All right, calling to order the meeting for April 10th, 2024. Can we get a roll call, Beth?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Today again is Wednesday, April the 10th, 2024. Mr. Thomas.
Present.
Mr. Smith.
Present.
Miss McGlinchey.
Present.
And Miss Buckley.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. All right, members of the board, I'm sure you had an opportunity to review the minutes from March 13th. Any concerns or questions related to the minutes as presented? All right. Seeing no concerns with the minutes of March 13th, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of March 13th?
So moved. Second.
Having a motion and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record reflect that the minutes from March 13th have been approved. Which brings us to our agenda today. We have 6 items for consideration. First item on the board is 1A, conveyance of title to city properties through the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to the Philadelphia Land Bank.
Good afternoon, board members and public. Today we're asking the board to authorize the conveyance of city properties through the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to the Philadelphia Land Bank. PRA will act as pass-through and facilitator for the conveyance of title of these properties owned by the city of Philadelphia to the land bank. The conveyance of these properties will be for the disposition, reuse, and management by the land bank. City properties listed below were approved for conveyance to the Philadelphia Land Bank in collaboration with the 3rd, 5th, and 8th Councilmanic districts. The properties are as follows. In the 3rd Councilmanic district, we have 4419 Rear Market Street and 4310 Rear Haverford Avenue. In the 5th Councilmanic district, we have 928 French Street. And then in the 8th Councilmanic district, we have 49 East Earlham Street, 207 East Penn Street, 313 East Bringhurst Street, 292 East Bringhurst Street, 278, 260, and 226 East Bringhurst Street, 5222 Wakefield Street, 429 East Ashmead Street, 5514, 5515 Morton Street, 5608 High School Street, 4642 Morton Street, 53 East Pastorius Street, 261 and 263 East Sharpnack Street, 112 and 111 East Springer Street, 4925 Wakefield Street, 326 and 342 Sheedaker Street, 4951, 4957, 4961, 4975 Sheldon Street, and 4635 Germantown Avenue. Then we have 44 and 42 Rieger Street, and then 49, 46 Kaiser Street or Keyser Street, then 1532 West Loudon Street. And that concludes the list.
Thank you, Angel. Any questions related to item 1A? from the members of the board? Seeing no hands raised. Any questions from the public related to item 1A? I see 2 hands raised. Yvonne Haskins.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. I'm a little confused by the list. When we attended the land bank meeting, we were told that you would be transferring all of the settlement, formerly owned properties formerly owned by settlement, Germantown settlement, and we don't see all of those properties.
That's the second item.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep my hand raised for that.
Suzanne Ponzin, is this related to item 1A?
It's related to 1 and 2, but 2,
You want to wait till 2?
I guess so. Thank you.
Okay. Allison Weiss, is this related to item 1A? Take yourself off mute, Allison.
Sorry, thank you. Yes, my question is, how will these properties be disposed of once they're in the land bank? And how will we be informed that they are available and for what purpose?
I can tell you that the 3rd district properties are part of which this was presented yesterday at the land bank board meeting, was for a choice neighborhood initiative. These were properties that had previously assumed to be transferred to PHA as part of the choice neighborhood initiative in West Park. It was found that there were remnants that did not have an address, and therefore we did that with the city, and we then proceeded to get it a legal address, and now we're transferring it so that PHA will have a clear legal title to those remnants parcels. The 5th district property is part of I believe a side yard, and then 8th district properties have been identified for turnkey requests for proposals that should be posted shortly.
And that will be on the website?
Yes, the posting of the RFPs in the 8th district properties will be on the PHDC website.
And is it not possible that the RCOs get notified of these occurrences?
We have an extensive mailing list when we post RFPs. If the RCOs are signed onto it, and I believe they are, our communications department does send out a blast to everyone.
Thank you.
Greg Palmier, is this related to item 1A? Greg, you're off mute, Greg. Can't hear you if you're speaking, though. I'll come back to you, Greg. Emily Doley.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a follow-up question. If these properties are gonna be a part of the turnkey program, is there a scenario at all in which they get transferred and do not become part of that program, or this is definite?
They will be posted as RFP for turnkey, yes, for infill affordable housing, homeownership.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Greg Palmier, coming back to you again. Still having audio challenges, Greg. You're not on mute. You're on mute now.
How about now?
There you go.
Okay, great. Thanks. Sorry for the delay. I did not hear what item A was, but it's definitely related to the second item, item B.
All right. We haven't gone to that item yet, sir. So I'll come back to you when we get to that.
Thank you.
No problem. Suzanne Ponson, I know I asked you already, is this now something new? All right, I'm gonna assume that the remaining hands that are raised, although I haven't talked to Craig Stevens. Craig Stevens, is this related to item 1A? Take yourself off mute.
The Germantown properties, can you hear me?
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that item yet, sir.
I thought we just spoke to them.
Okay, okay, we did talk about a subset of Germantown properties. Are you making reference to, what would you like to say, sir?
Well, it's kind of along the same lines. I'm concerned about the community in Germantown being aware of those properties being available for development. The turnkey program, is that intended as homeownership only, or just developer does what they want with them?
Homeownership, affordable.
Okay. And who makes that announcement? The PRA or the,
That will be a land bank, art
okay,
that will be posted on the website.
Okay.
These will be set, there's definite affordability requirements.
good.
So an AMI and the RFP will be outlined and defined.
Are you setting the AMI so that it actually relates to the AMI in the Germantown area rather than higher income folks that reflected the suburban AMI figures?
We use the HUD AMI levels.
Yeah, but they're set for a regional level, so they don't relate well.
We use the HUD AMI levels.
So I will just say this, the majority of the folks that have purchased turnkey have been about 80% or below AMI.
80% is like
They're at 57%.
$100,000 income.
No.
That's it. No,
So,
80%,
so
not
let
$100,000.
me explain. Turnkey recipients, and we've done this across the city, the average AMI is 57%.
Okay,
So the average income is $45,000.
right.
So
Okay.
we're not doing suburbanites.
What?
We're not doing $100,000 like you said. This is
Okay.
affordable housing, home ownership.
All right, 57 is a good, so some are even less and get help from closing costs, et cetera, that kind of operation.
That is correct.
Good, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to get on the land bank list in order to be informed about these opportunities or to monitor who's grabbing these properties and using them.
Are you an RCO?
What?
Are you an RCO?
I'm not an RCO, I'm a community member.
Yeah. So what I heard Angel say prior to you asking the question is that we have a communications department that will send out an e-blast to all the RCOs that are signed up.
Oh, I see.
And that's how we typically notice the community.
Okay, all right.
All right. Nate Holt, because I have not spoken to you, is this related to 1A?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, my question is just who are the individuals or people who identify these properties and initiate the sequence of, putting them through this process?
That would be myself and my staff.
Okay. Do you have any collaboration or communication with elected officials during this process of identifying the properties?
Yes.
Okay, and who are the folks that you collaborate with?
As it states in the resolution, we talk to each councilmatic district because all title transfers require a council resolution. So each council district member, as in this resolution, in the 3rd, the 5th, and the 8th, had been consulted and are aware of the transfer.
Okay, great. And but the initiation and identification of those specific properties originates from you and your office. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing that I spoke to the other 3 hands that I see raised, and I believe that their item is related to the next item up. And having no other questions for this, okay. Can I get a motion to approve item 1A?
I'll move to approve. Second.
Having a motion and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record reflect that item 1A has been approved. It brings us to item 1B. I apologize.
Afternoon, board members. Today, we're asking for the board to approve the conveyance of PRA properties to the Philadelphia Land Bank. These properties are identified as the former Germantown settlement properties. We're asking the redevelopment authority to convey the title of these properties owned by the authority to the Philadelphia Land Bank. For the conveyance, this will be for the disposition, reuse, and management by the Philadelphia Land Bank. The authority-owned properties listed below were approved for conveyance to the land bank in collaboration with the 8th Councilmatic District Office. I will point out to the board that I will be reading from a list. There were some discrepancies between the atlas information and deed information that we had when we foreclosed on these properties. So there will be 6 changes that I will highlight. 117 West Manheim Street, that is 1. And then we have 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 63, 45, and 63 East Worcester Street. Then we have 45, 47, and 51 East Garfield Street. Second amendment would be 50 Column Street, removing the east designation. 56 East Column Street. Then we have 60 to 74 Column Street. The third change would be 101 East Column Street, adding the designation east. Then we have 66, 57 through 59 Blakemore Street and 530 to 34 Vernon Road. That will be the fourth change. Then we have 5423 to 27 Lena Street, 5429 to 43 Lena Street, 4949 Germantown Avenue, 4951 Germantown Avenue, 6526 to 34 Germantown Avenue, 5417 Lena Street, 5513 Lena Street. Then we have 5515 Lena Street. And then we have 67 East Church Lane. Finally, we have 83 and 85 Church Lane, removing the east designation. And then we have 87 East Church Lane. And I believe we have also 320 to 32 Mechanic Street, 3046 Mechanic Street, 6672 Musgrave Street, 248 East Phil Elena Street, 227 East Sharpneck Street, and 423 to 27 East Ashmead Street. I will just highlight that the last 6 properties are PRA properties that will be going to the land bank for disposition as part of a turnkey RFP. The ones above that are Germantown settlement properties.
Got it. And before we consider the item, I think we have to first accept the amended changes that were proposed by Angel Rodriguez. So can I get a motion to approve the changes as amended for item 1B?
So moved.
Get a second.
Second.
Having the motion and properly seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, having none opposed. With the new amended resolution, any questions or concerns related to that resolution as presented from the board? Seeing no concerns, hearing no concerns. Any questions or concerns related to this item from the public? And I know Yvonne Haskins, you indicated you had something, so please,
Mr. Chair, could I go at the end of the public discussion?
you can.
Make certain that all of our issues are raised. One thing I would appreciate knowing the properties that you excluded from going to the Philadelphia Housing Authority. And there was no mention that the land bank is transferring these properties to the Housing Authority. But I'd like to be heard at the end of the discussion.
Okay. I'll come back to you. And Dolly.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna read my question, okay, if you don't mind. This is Ann from Friends for the Restoration of the Germantown YWCA building. My question, should I put the whole thing out there at once? It has three parts. Why are you transferring the Germantown settlement properties after we spent most of 2022 in Germantown involved in extensive and expensive community engagement process that came up with clear recommendations for these properties? What's the rationale? How will the community's priorities be protected in terms of what we came up with, the steering committee and the people that were at those 3 in-person and Zoom community meetings, plus the meeting of all RCOs? In addition, does this have anything to do with the Act 135 lawsuit concerning the Germantown YWCA? And this is relevant because PHA is exempt from Act 135 as far as my understanding. And lastly, what was the total number of properties that Angel read out connected to Germantown settlement? How many of these properties are occupied currently, and how will former rental tenants be contacted? I asked those 2 things because some of the priorities from the engagement were that people currently living in the houses get a chance to purchase. In addition, that former tenants get first rights to return to rental properties. Thank you very much.
And let me see if I have all your questions. First question, let's deal with the homeowners that you say were given an opportunity. I mean, the tenants who were given an opportunity to purchase. Angel, you want to address that one first?
They would not be in a position at this point in time to purchase the properties. In terms of financial capacity, for what it would take to rehab them and resale.
So the individuals were assessed, the properties were assessed, and unfortunately, no one was deemed eligible to acquire the property, and we would probably be bad public servants if we were to transfer properties to people who could not maintain them.
Correct.
But did you check with all the current residents?
Yes, ma'am. That's what we're saying.
Okay, thank you.
Your second question was related to the community engagement and the efforts that we undertook. And I agree with you, and I believe that the efforts are not being lost. I think that one of the things that we're trying to address is exactly what the community asked of us, which is ensuring that the properties remain affordable, preserved for affordability. When we put out an RFP for those properties, we received some proposals, none of them viable to move forward. I certainly don't want to be in the situation that I've already found myself in with a previous building in Germantown. I want to see these properties repurposed sooner rather than later. And I don't want to see these properties lost. So the decision was made after months of discussing with PHA that it was in the community's best interest to move forward as they have the resources and the wherewithal to rehabilitate the properties. And the last question that you asked, is it related to Germantown Y? It is not related to the Germantown Y. However, you're very astute by understanding that PHA is exempt from Act 134, but our actions with PHA began before Mr. Weinstein's actions on the Y.
Mr. Thomas, there's a couple of little pieces we missed.
Say that again.
One is, do people who were previous renters, are they gonna be, get some priority to come back if they choose to? That was one of the things that came out of the engagement too. What was the total number of properties that Angel read out connected to settlement and the number of units within those? Thank you.
You know the number of properties, Angel?
I would have to look at it because some of them are consolidated in addresses, but we have 27 property addresses that were listed, 17 were occupied at the time. I'm counting the numbers just to make sure I have it right.
And I believe the number of units was somewhere around 104 or something to that extent. I don't have that in front of me neither, Ms. Doley, but it was in that ballpark.
Well, that's very helpful. I misunderstood. I don't understand one thing and then I'll stop. Angel, I don't understand what you mean by occupied. Occupied when they were taken,
They're
occupied now?
There are currently 16 occupied.
16 units?
Yes,
Thank you very much. I appreciate all the answers.
no problem.
And just to clarify, there are 28 property addresses.
Thank you, Susan. Allison Weiss?
Yes, thank you. There were tenants who were living in these units prior to the foreclosure. Will those people be notified and given an opportunity to relocate back to their former residences?
That's a conversation that can be had. I do believe that the majority of the tenants that you're making reference to were relocated through PHA. So I'm certain that we can have that conversation with PHA. And I've talked to some of those tenants. Some have expressed interest in returning and some have not.
Okay. And what about a timeline? What is the timeline for this whole transfer, renovation, move-in? How will that be determined? And what is involved in that? Since we already had surveys, we already had reports, we already had, a lot of money put into a lot of reviews, and a lot of time has already been spent. How much more time are we looking at?
Yeah, and honestly, I can't give you a specific time frame. It would be wrong for me to even make up a number for you. But I feel, and I can certainly feel comfortable saying this, that those properties will get repurposed. I feel much sooner under PHA through the conversations that we've had than any other option.
And in the I guess the agenda, it says authority conveyance. The authority owned properties attached hereto as Exhibit A will be conveyed to the Philadelphia Land Bank without consideration pursuant to Section 2109 of Land Bank Act 68 PA CSA. What does all of that mean?
Standard language, state statutory language.
So it will be conveyed.
It just simply means that we're conveying property to the land bank to ultimately dispose of to PHA.
Okay, so there's no caveats, nothing to be aware of.
No.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
no problem. Ann Doley, you coming back?
I'm not coming back.
Okay, sorry. Jim Dragoni. Take yourself off mute, sir.
Thank you for taking my question. I live at 69 Church Lane, next to attached actually to one of the properties that that Angel referenced, 67. And I've been here through the entire process of settlement, taking over these properties, letting them run down, losing a couple of them, and so on. So my main question is, because I'm really new to this process, what's the best way to understand what will happen going forward? I understand in a general way that these properties are being conveyed to the land bank, and what the land bank does with them and how it does it. Has that been determined, or will that be determined going forward? Several questions have been asked about timeline, and I know that you can't exactly answer that right now, but for me, I'm very invested in this because I've lived in this environment for 40 years, and for better or worse, and a lot of it's been worse.
Yep.
I really need to understand what's going to happen going forward, when and how. We've got a lot of things going on in this block. Developers trying to take it over and so on and so forth. So it's been a very stressful period. And, I know that one of the best ways to reduce stress is to get rid of the fear of the unknown by making the unknown known. So anything that you can tell me now in terms of procedure, timing, and process would be most appreciated.
Mhm. So I believe you're living next to 67 Church Lane?
That's right. I'm at
Yeah.
69.
Yep, and I believe that property is an occupied property?
67 is occupied, yes.
That is correct. And
Same people have been in there since 1995.
yep, and it's our hope and our desire and our belief that folks living in that property will be better served with upkeep, renovations, and bringing that property up to repair. Something that the redevelopment authority is not equipped to do, something that PHA certainly is equipped to do. So it is our desire and our hope that those folks will be living in, if you will, better conditions and in a better position to be managed properly.
In that property?
Yes,
In that same property?
that is what my desire is. That's what I said.
And they will be renters or owners of that property?
They will be renters. Unfortunately, no one has met qualifications for ownership. So we weren't able to convey properties without folks having the ability to actually take care of the property.
I agree completely. I understand that I don't believe that they are capable of managing all that. These properties were built in 1825.
I agree.
And they're always, there's always some major thing hugely expensive thing that has to be done.
I agree.
Right. So my concern is not so much 67, but like there are numerous properties on this block, maybe about a half a dozen, and around the corner on Lena Street, where two of them disappeared off the tax rolls for whatever reason, and however that happened is a huge mystery to me. So between the houses on Church Lane and the houses on Lena Street, that's a whole bunch of houses there that I would like to know what will happen to them and when and how. I'm trying to understand. If there's some documentation that you can point me to.
No, sir. No, sir. But if you want to leave your information, I'll be glad to reach back out to you when I have more clarity in terms of those specific addresses that you just made reference to. I don't want to make up anything. I don't want to be on the spot of giving you a story that isn't true. But if you want to leave your information, we'll make sure that we keep in touch.
Okay, thank you. I'll find your email address, or maybe you can give it to me now and I'll email my contact information to you.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
Dave, you have one question in the Q&A asking for an overview of the Turn the Key program.
You want to go ahead and do that while
Sure. All right, so the Turn the Key program is a secondary mortgage program. It's tied to the disposition of publicly owned land. So what happened, how it works in two phases. The land bank will issue a request for proposals. It will be very prescriptive. It will be a bundle of properties. In that RFP, we will set the AMI, either it be at 100% of AMI or 80% of AMI. You can see our past request for proposals in that area, but we request that it's, The properties have to be independently financed. They have to have a complete capital stack. They have to meet threshold for development. We post it for 30 days minimum. We then vet them based on the legislated disposition policy and score them according to the legislated scoring rubric. The selected developer then must agree to they will have to, there's a declaration of restricted covenant that covers and maintains affordability for the property and the land moving forward. What happens then is that our housing counseling, internal housing counseling group then qualifies home buyers to receive the turnkey soft second mortgage. We have a list of 13 approved partner banks that also work with our product. So you get a mortgage for $75,000 at the high end if the properties are sold at 280. If it's sold lower, it's prorated. Then also if you qualify for a turnkey mortgage, and this goes for the home buyer, they also automatically qualify for Philly First Home, which is an additional $10,000. The 13 partner banks that we have also provide buyer's assistance. So you're looking at, typically it's another $10,000. So you're really looking at $95,000 of assistance to the home buyer. And then the home buyer would be required, typically what we're seeing, home buyers are making about $45,000 a year. That's about 57% of AMI. Their credit scores are around 600. And the ending mortgage that they have kind of varies. If it's the house sells for 280, they usually get a mortgage at around 186. If it's 250, it goes down to 165. But across the board, the average mortgage payment is about $1,300 a month, and the average interest rate on the mortgage, the long-term mortgage, is 6.68%. The turnkey mortgage is not serviced, so we do not expect monthly payments. It's patient money. It just sits there for 20 years. From year 16 to 20, it amortizes to 0.
Again. Let me see. Yvonne Haskins, I'm going to let you go now because listen to everyone else and then we'll get back to some of those questions. But Yvonne?
Okay, I thought there were more people like Ms. Ponson and Ms.
Well, Allison Weiss I talked to, unless she's raising her hand again.
No, I said Suzanne Ponson.
I don't see her.
Oh, okay. She was on earlier.
Yes.
And Greg Palmieri was on earlier.
Yeah.
I have a number of questions just based on what I heard already and what I knew before. The one thing that I'm very concerned about is the shift from what we were told 6 years ago in 2018 about the way that homeownership could be provided. We were told, first of all, that you needed to do an existing conditions survey, which you paid a considerable amount of money for, to determine how much subsidy you were going to have to help these people to get into these properties. There seems to be now you're saying a tenant has to be able to repair a property, which can be astronomical, in order to qualify. That sounds like a shift in your commitment to homeownership.
Well, let's stop there. Let's stop there because I want to understand what subsidy are you making reference to that was.
I'm making reference to the subsidy that we heard at the meeting in May of 2018, where the chair of the PRA said that the PRA made a mistake in the board's in the staff's approval of Freeman's application, and that they were going to correct that mistake. You had a number of tenants in that audience, and there was a commitment made to assist tenants to either become homeowners or return as renters. And I don't hear anything like that. And what I hear you saying seems grossly unfair when you say, oh, well, the tenants don't have the financial capacity to purchase these properties.
Not
That's
to purchase,
really,
it's not to purchase the properties.
or develop them.
It's not to develop them, Yvonne. It's to maintain the property after it's conveyed.
Well, I think that that's something that you haven't really checked on, because if someone is working and with this turnkey mortgage, and if they don't have a heavy mortgage, if they're paying rent, they can pay a mortgage. I just don't understand, but I don't want to.
I think we're conflating two issues here.
Yeah, let's not debate this right now because.
All right, I won't debate it. I raised it as a question.
Go ahead.
Because of what we had heard before.
Okay.
I noticed that no one else on the board talks but you and Angel. I'm hoping that the board.
Angel's not on the board.
I know, but on the Zoom call, no one is talking but you and Angel. And I'm hoping that the board members are listening to this community's need to be heard. We have been working on this for 6 years. And many of you weren't on the board 6 years ago. And so you don't know the history. But the history is very, very important. And now you're telling us that you've been negotiating with PHA for 6 months.
I said several, I didn't say 6, but it's fine.
Well, however many months, for months, without letting us know anything, without any community engagement on this proposal. We would like very much, David, for you to have some concern about what we've gone through already, and to assure us, and I've already asked you about this, haven't heard any answer to it, but the PRA has the authority to put reverter clauses in transfers. And it would make sense to me that if PHA does not move on what they're committed to do and what you've been proposing that they're going to do. Angel was very clear at the land bank meeting that PRA can move swiftly and has the money to do what they want to do, etc. So our expectations have been raised. You did say that.
I said PHA, not PRA.
PHA.
I got you.
Okay.
PHA. I get them mixed up. PHA was prepared to do much more than you just said it yourself, David, that PRA can't do it. And for 6 years, you haven't done it, although you hired PHA in the first years to manage these properties. They did.
Not true. Not true, but that's another time for another conversation. They were never hired. They did they were involved initially with the expectation that they would be taking ownership of the properties, and that did not play out.
It is really
they had difficulty managing property that they are not mandated to manage. So that they could not continue to manage the properties if they were not taking title to the properties.
We all know that PHA has a very, very bad reputation for managing properties. They cannot control the occupancy of these properties, which is why we had that serious fire, and which other people like Andoli, who's on the Zoom, experienced personally on her block from PHA property. So we really don't want to go into PHA's capacity and ability and whatever. What I'm asking is for you to insert a reverter clause that if PHA does not do what it's supposed to do, and I hope the board is listening to this plea, that these properties revert back to the PRA. If it should take no longer, if they already have financial capacity, it should take no longer than than determining what needs to be done and getting it done. 3 years should be sufficient for that to happen. And I would like to know, would you be willing to consider that?
We will consider having that conversation with PHA to ensure that what you just raised is taken into consideration and delivered.
Would you please let us know the outcome of that before this transfer is made?
You know I'm gonna talk to you because you're not gonna leave me alone. You know that, Yvonne. I'm
Okay.
gonna let you know.
All right, those are my concerns.
No
I don't think that this is the best
I understand.
outcome. And you know that I object to this being the best outcome
Understand.
because of what
No.
we have struggled with
Yeah.
and because of our knowledge of the reputation of PHA.
And I agree 100% with your concerns, and it's not lost on me. But I honestly, I sit here and I deal with different circumstances from a different perspective, and I definitely do not want to be in a position, and I think Ann Doley asked this question, and I answered the question. It has nothing to do with the conservatorship, but I cannot ignore the conservatorship loss, and I can't ignore the possibility of losing these properties through conservatorship. And then if I did that, you definitely would not be getting affordability. I mean, I have challenges here that I have to address, and I need to get these properties repurposed sooner rather than later. So I respect what you're saying to me.
If you keep these properties, you can determine how they get developed. I don't understand you saying you don't have any control over that.
It's not that it's not so much determined. I can determine if YWCA's how it gets developed too, but it's the timing. You know everything. Come on. I don't want to lose the properties. I don't want to lose the affordability.
Okay, thank you.
Sterling Scott. Is this related to item 1B? Take yourself off mute, please. I'll come back to you when you figure it out. Colin Floyd Carroll. Colleen, I should
Hi,
say.
hi there. Sorry, I've got an echo. Hold on.
Are you able to adjust the echo?
Hang on.
Perhaps you can type your question or your concern and we can read it for you. Let's try Allison Weiss again.
Thank you.
Yep.
My concern goes back to the previous meeting where I tried to explain that there is a property in the rear of 85 and 87 Church Lane that does not have an address.
We're addressing it. We've recognized your concern that you raised the last board meeting, and it will be addressed.
Okay, because I didn't hear it in the amended addresses.
We have to deal with legal addresses that we're aware of, so we're addressing it.
Okay, and the other issue was maintenance. It's been brought up. Our experience has not been great with PHA as an entity to ensure timely maintenance.
Understood.
And who would the contact be during the duration of the time PHA has these properties? How will we get in touch with them?
I don't have any of those answers at the moment, Allison, but I will stay in touch with you and we'll make you aware of who you need to talk to when that time comes.
Okay, that would be very good because there are things that come up regularly with these properties. And the other concern was the properties have been renovated at 85 and 87 Church Lane, and the size of the windows was reduced. This was done without permits.
We're aware of everything that you raised last time.
And is that going to be repaired and rectified?
We're trying to address everything that you raised last time, Allison. I don't know the status as of today, but everything has been you brought everything to our attention and we've been acting on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Jihad Ali. Yes, sir.
And Chairman Thomas and members of the board. I wanted to make a comment on this item. One thing is, I heard various comments, but I do want to, I have nothing to do with PHA, but I'm very familiar with PHA because they've done outstanding things over the years. I mean, they've taken properties and they've taken and changed neighborhoods around, right? All over the city. So I'm not one to really condemn PHA. They're trying to serve a population that has been unserved and subject to systemic racism since the 1920s. So, I support anything with PHA. They do a tremendous job in going from a concept to putting in place something in place. Kyle Flood over there is doing a great job trying to make everything happen. So I support anything that's going to happen with PHA and turning these properties around. And I agree with you, Chairman Thomas, that it would be a shame to lose them when we have a population of people that's almost 80,000 people, has a waiting list of 80,000 people waiting for rental. Not everybody can be a homeowner, but there's a whole population that needs rental housing. And there's studies that support people that have rental housing take as good care of a rental house as they do if there was a homeowner. And PHFA produced a paper on that. I would want to ask I want to have a follow-up question for you, Mr. Chairman, about the turnkey because Angel approached that, but I'll do that at the end for new business. And that's really it. I'll just end it right there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. And Dolly.
Hi, Mr. Thomas again. This might be a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it. Based on my experience on my own block in Germantown of 43 years. Is it possible that these houses in the end become, stay PHA owned or become housing voucher program houses? I'd like to know that.
I believe those things are housing voucher program houses. What does that mean?
Section 8.
No, they would be under PHA's inventory, no.
So they will not, they have no potential to become Section 8 houses?
As far as I'm aware, PHA inventory are not Section 8 houses. That will be private.
Right, but I didn't know if any of these were going to be sold to private developers.
There is nothing on the table today suggesting that we're selling those single families to private developers.
Okay, then I will not tell you about the nightmare experience on my block that had 12 of those houses. Thank you very much. And of which PHA was totally non-responsive to the crime that went on the block and to people overcrowding of 24 people living in a house and that type of thing. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Sterling Scott. Did you get it together? Take yourself off mute. Come on, Sterling, I want to hear you.
This
All
is
right.
Sterling Scott. Can you
There
hear
you
me?
go.
Okay. My question was, we have a lot of houses that are being for renters in the Nicetown area, a lot of abandoned houses. What can we do about that? And we have a lot of people renting in Juniata and in Nicetown that would like to be homeowners. Can you address that?
Yeah, I can't address that at this moment, sir, because that's not the item that we're discussing today, but I did send I believe I put my email address in the chat, so please feel free to email me and we'll have that conversation about Nicetown and Juniata.
Thank you very much. We will do that, sir.
Yep. Colleen Floyd Carroll. Colleen, back to you, Colleen. Did you get the echo?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. So I'm just concerned about, you spoke briefly to it, but to PHA's history as a landlord and their capacity to manage these properties, manage occupancy levels. If there's been a history of over occupancy of properties, of tenants who've had criminal and disruptive behavior and those kind of things, and it takes years to get people moved out, and then the same thing is followed again. And it feels a little unnerving to feel like we're just jumping from frying pan to the fire as we've dealt with this neglect and disrepair for so many years. And now there's no real clear path, as far as I can see, to a significant improvement or a quick turnover of these properties. The community has been waiting a long time to see that these properties be returned to best use and a condition that upholds the richness and quality of our neighborhoods. So can you speak to how the relationship between the land bank, the RDA, and PHA and PHDC will work to make sure that we really get it done this time and that you don't leave us just hanging out there with more of this for another decade or more?
Well, at this moment, I can't speak to specifics, ma'am. I can speak to the commitment that we at the Redevelopment Authority have to ensuring that the properties remain preserved for affordability. Can't speak to specifics in terms of when they will be developed and how they will be developed, but I can certainly assure you that if that is what you want to know, when that opportunity presents itself, I will share whatever I have with you. But again, as I reiterated earlier, I do believe that this will be the swiftest way in which we can get these properties repurposed.
And I'm with Yvonne. I'd love to hear from other board members as well. You're all representing us here, and I'm hoping that there's some diversity of opinion and experience that you could speak to in there. You know, I know that Maria Buckley's been involved with all kinds of exciting low-income housing development programs around the city, and I'd love to see some of that come to Germantown. There've been some phenomenal projects that her firm has worked on that have transformed neighborhoods, and I'd really love to see that those kinds of targeted community center development initiatives created that really look at, with these properties, how do we return public land to the best use for the public good? That this is what I really want to see RDA and PHA do is make public land not enriching developers or beyond what is duly theirs, and not filling the campaign coffers of folks who work with pay-to-play developers, but rather to make sure that these properties become deeply affordable properties that are accessible to the AMI of our local neighbors. So I'd love to hear from some of the work that folks like Maria and her and other folks are doing, and how we can think about those kinds of partnerships between social impact developers and Germantown. I just really want to emphasize the opportunity we have here to do some really exciting, positive social impact development with community needs centered as we move forward. And I'd love to have a community process to participate in that. So thank you for the time. And
thank you. P. Bracy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm a longtime resident of Germantown. I'm very familiar with these properties that we're talking about today because I did attend quite a few of the meetings, and we have watched the deterioration of these properties. What I would like to ask, we're disseminating quite a bit of information today. Is there any way that a press release or an article can be given to the newspapers, be it the Chestnut Hill Local, the Inquirer, the Tribune, other news media, so that individuals in the community and the bigger community will realize, okay, something will be taking place. We can't say exactly when, but something is going to be taking place. I mean, we as Ms. Haskins said, we've gone to the meetings, we've sat there, we had these discussions. We were asked to do that. We did that. And what was that? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we did that.
Yep.
We've all experienced Germantown settlement. We still are dealing with it 30 years later. So I think we need to get information out. It's like information for Germantown seems like it's almost like a secret. It's like we don't deserve what other neighborhoods are getting, and we need to get things to make our neighborhood look better, be better. And then maybe some of the issues that we have had with violence and things of that nature will disappear, or at least dissipate, because people will feel better because they're in a home. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And Dennis Barnaby. Take yourself off mute, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I didn't ask to speak. I'm not sure why that came up.
Oh, your hand was raised, so you might have mistakenly did that.
That's a mistake. I'm sorry.
We don't need to put you on the spot if you don't want to be. All right. Seeing no other hands raised, hearing the concerns from the community. And all right. Again, seeing no hands raised and hearing no concerns from the community, I see Mr. Smith has comment.
Thank you, sir. Yep. I just want to say that I grew up in Germantown. I've worked for Germantown. I have a vested, over the years, vested personal and financial interest in involvement in Germantown. And I was brought to this board because I have a track record of saying something when I see something. There is not a meeting that goes by where, and we have a chance to huddle before the board meeting, where Germantown is discussed and our interest and concerns and views are shared with Mr. Thomas. So I want to assure you that your concerns and pleas are not falling on deaf ears. You know, my whole life has been dedicated to the viability of Germantown. So just wanted you to understand. But we speak with one voice, and as we should. So I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Having no more comments, can we get a motion to approve item 1B as amended?
So moved.
Motion, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Having a motion and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let the record reflect that item 1B has been approved. Moving on to item 1C. Who's 1C?
Bob.
Bob.
Yep, sorry. Good afternoon. The board is asked to approve a construction contract between the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority as agent for the city and AP Construction Incorporated for the Fire Marine Unit Number 2 new floating dock project located at Schuylkill River at Passyunk Avenue. The project includes the installation of new pilings and concrete for a new floating dock. The city of Philadelphia solicited and has recommended AP Construction Incorporated for the project. The total base bid amount is $225,638. The EOP ranges are 18% MBE, 7% WBE. The project will be funded with city capital funds as outlined in the executed grant agreement between the authority and the city. The grant agreement allows for funds to be transferred to the authority for city projects.
Thank you, Bob. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the board related to this item? Seeing no hands raised, hearing no comments. Any concerns from the general public related to item 1C? Having a hand raised, Mr. Ali, please proceed.
Mr. Chairman.
PHA transfer. And in remembering our experience with PHA and the 301 West Queen Lane PHA housing project and our inability in over a decade to have a meeting with regard to that property and the Potter's Field. We have written emails, we have written letters, we have made phone calls, we have tried to go to their board meetings, ask questions. It's impossible. They're not responsive. So perhaps, hopefully, you will be able to repair this situation and have a better relationship between PHA and the Germantown residents, because it has not been a good experience.
Understood. Thank you. I think Jahai, old business.
I jumped the gun, Mr. Chairman. Mine is actually, could be old or new. You'd have to make the decision because we had a conversation before. I simply wanted to follow up on what I mentioned earlier when Angel talked about the turnkey. However, I just think it would be more appropriate for me to send you an email, and I just ask that you respond to the email.
Sure.
And also, while I got this minute, I just want to thank the board chairman, board member, Mr. Smith, for voicing that concern, because that's what we really want with board members. You know, this is not Mr. Rodriguez's meeting or Mr. Thomas' meeting or Mr. Braden's meeting, or I'm not even sure what Susan's position is or Vigar's meeting is, but it's the board members. And we do like to see that the board members are actually thinking and listening to these public comments, because you are the police of this organization. And once you have an opportunity to examine something, that's how we get changes. Because just as that developer person came along and asked for 0 WBE, somebody in the future will come along and ask for 0 MBE. So I thought that was a wise comment, Mr. Smith. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ali.
Any other old business? Any new business? Seeing no hands raised. Long meeting, Karen Weeks, new business.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi, yes, my name is Karen Weeks. I'm the president of the Carrie Turner Nehemiah Homeowners Association. And we have been established since July 17, 1996 by the Popular Enterprise. And within our development of 174 homes at that time, now 175 homes, we have common areas. We have Ogden Court, Cambridge Court, and the Carrie Turner Nehemiah Park that sits at 851 North 13th Street, better known as 13th Street Square. We're trying to find out, in our bylaws and our declaration of covenants, to mention something about Exhibit B. We cannot find that Exhibit B. I have spoken to somebody from your office who was on the call not too long ago. However, since 22, however, I have not received any feedback or any information pertaining to finding this information out. What we're trying to do is find out what role does the redevelopment authority play in for this property, mainly the all three areas, as far as it pertains to like the fencing, trees, and pruning the trees and whatnot. So I want to know, what role does the redevelopment authority play in that, and can you guys give me some type of feedback?
And what property was that related to again, ma'am?
It's called the Carrie Turner Nehemiah HOA. It was established back in July 17, 1996.
This is in West Poplar?
Yes.
This is like a public space?
It's the areas for our community.
Yeah.
And it states in our bylaws it's for community use only.
So, and I don't remember it all that well, but I was under the impression, and I'll have to dig deeper unless Angel can correct me or validate what I'm saying. But I thought there was a community agreement that was being maintained and managed by the community.
Right. So what we need to, we have been maintaining it for the last going on 28 years now. However, there was some language in our bylaws and declaration saying about the parks and recreation. I contacted Parks and Recreation. They have no knowledge of us at all. I just spoke to somebody right before we got on the meeting, and we did find out that the trees that are in our cul-de-sacs, they have addresses attached. The addresses in a cul-de-sac are attached to those trees. So she's going to try to look and see if they can't get those pruned. But we want to know, what role does you guys play in helping to maintain those areas, if you do at all?
Angel?
So I'm familiar with this. There is a resolution, as the development, the Nehemiah development was done. The park area was developed, and there is an existing, correct me if I'm wrong, Susan, resolution to transfer it to Parks and Rec. That did not happen. We did recently, a couple months ago, I believe, maybe, meet with the Commissioner of Public Property and the facility or capital, the head of capital assets for Parks and Rec, about transferring these property, the Nehemiah Park, to the city for management. So we have to, because of the change in leadership at public property, they agreed to take the properties to maintain them. But with the change in leadership, we have a new interim director or commissioner, which we'll be having a meeting with to affect that change. As far as property maintenance and the trees, possibly we could work with you with PHS for tree trimming in the area.
Okay, great. Is it possible for you to send me the verbiage to everything that you're saying? So that way, I know we have insurance on the park, but trees haven't been pruned in 28 years.
So can I suggest that we take this offline and that you and Angel and Mr. Rodriguez sit down and coordinate how we communicate?
Okay, we'll do.
All right.
I'm gonna put
And
my
email address in the chat.
Yep.
Yep. All right. All right. Hopefully you have that email address. If not, mine was out there too, so please feel free to email either one of us. With that brings us to the conclusion of our board meeting today. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Having a motion properly second, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.